We would now like to take questions from the audience. With regard to questions, we will take questions for those of you who are here on site and also who are connected to us live, who have registered in advance and which are connected to the web conference system at this moment. For those of you who are on site, we ask you to please raise your hands. One of our staff will come by with a microphone. For those of you who wish to ask a question and who are connected online, please use the raise hand function of the web conference system. We will call out your name and affiliation. When we ask you to unmute your microphone, please do so and then start to speak. Also, please do not unmute your microphone until NTT side participant has responded to your question. If you wish to cancel your question, please push the raise hand button once again if you wish to cancel the question. We'd like to take as many questions as possible from a very large number of people, so we ask you to limit yourself to 2 questions at a time. We'd appreciate your kind understanding. Thank you so much. So let us now take your questions. We'll go to the person in the second row. Please go ahead, sir. Masuno from Nomura Securities. You talked about midterm strategy. You shared with us midterm vision, and we appreciate that. But let me ask 2 questions, if I may. First is with regard to consumer business. And the second relates to the general ICT-related question, more broad in nature. Earlier, you talked about the target for fiscal 2027. Communications services revenue may go down, but that's for others. I wish that you would have said that you've been expecting an increase. Why are you not seeing increase in the consumer business? You talk about how migration has been expanding, but can you please tell us some potential elements that could actually be a positive upside for your consumer business? Now, 350 billion yen revenue increase you expect from entertainment. How do you see the profitability? What about operating profit? 20%? Or is it 30% OP margin? Can you talk about the margins for the entertainment business? So please give us your thoughts about the consumer business. Should I ask one by one, or should I ask all the questions? Thank you. Let me respond to each question. Okay. Yes, please respond to our consumer business-related question. Well, thank you. As you pointed out, from 24 through fiscal year 27, yes, we do expect some decline. But consumer communication business, I think, will bottom out in fiscal year 26. We hope to make that year as the bottom for the consumer business. I talked about how our ARPU will be making a reversal. As you pointed out earlier, there is the population decline element which we must be mindful of. That will have some impact. And also in fiscal 2025, formal services will be terminated. So we'll be having some forced cancellations and churns at that time. So I think that represents potential downside. But having said that, from that point onwards, we'll be able to make a reversal. We'll be able to bottom out at that time. As I mentioned earlier, the overall ARPU needs to be improved. That is what we were focused on. So mobile communication service revenue, we want to make sure that we can expand. And we believe that there is a potential to expand this revenue. And during the meantime, we want to see the upside based on the smart life business. As I mentioned earlier, we see the positive impact from the increase in revenues in various factors behind smart life business. OP margin is about 20% at this moment. So I believe with regard to the impact of increase in revenue, we believe that we'll be able to also see consummate OP margin improvement as well. And of course, it may not be straightforward. Of course, we want to have a higher plan naturally. Now today we just want to focus on some organic growth, organic business, which we're involved in right now. That is what I want to show you. As we have consistently mentioned, we believe that going forward we will consider various ways to expand our business, inclusive of potential acquisitions. So hopefully there will be able to have even greater upside for operating profit as we move toward fiscal year 2027. Thank you for that response. That was very clear. Thank you. Let me ask my second question. I think when NTT Docomo joined or combined with NTT Communications, we were expecting 200 billion yen synergy based on the combination over the 4-year period. That was the original outlook. But when you talk about 200 billion increase in profit, for both consumer and other business. When you consider that large picture, where does today's presentation of consumer business fit? Okay, today, we focused on individual consumer business in our presentation today. But as I responded to in your previous question, as for consumer business, we have various factors that we're considering, and we also consider potential acquisitions as well. So hopefully, they will be able to realize increase in operating revenue over a medium period in the 100 billions of yen level. So within that, we achieved 200 billion, we're not sure, but we hope that we'll be able to increase profit in the 100 billion yen range eventually. Thank you. That is all.
Stop.
Thank you very much. Are there any other questions? Then this Rose, the person in the gray suit. Kikuchi from SMBC Nikko Securities. I have two questions. First is regarding ARPU, and the second is related to profit. The turnaround of ARPU regarding this, for the other carriers, well, SoftBank ARPU is not saying that they will increase the ARPU because they're focusing on acquiring subscribers. But KDDI is saying that they want to increase the ARPU, and they want to do that through the improvement of the mix. And also, with each rate plan, they would seek upselling. However, in reality, it has not been realized for the last several years. And in your company's case, because of this background, during this fiscal year, you're going to turn around, and from the fourth quarter, it's going to go positive. So from the investors that are also looking KDDI, they will think, really? Is it true? So that is why I want to ask several questions. On page 25, yes, this one. First quarter, it's 53% is eximo, meaning that 47%, I don't know if that includes ahamo or not in the denominator, but the 47% is irumo. And probably the subscribers in GigaHole will move to eximo, but GigaLite subscribers from here switching over to eximo, is there really going to be that much of an increase up to over 60%? Well, I believe, 60% is the total pie, but currently, the GigaLite subscribers shifting over to eximo, that percentage, but how is it trending? And also on the next page, on page 26, on the right-hand side, the GigaLite subscribers shift over to the new rate plan, and it's making a positive effect. That structure, based on what calculation have you come to this conclusion? And the GigaLite subscribers, if they shift to irumo, I believe that the rate is going to mostly go down. But the ratio of shifting over to eximo is increasing by large. If that is the case, then the previous page is 53%, needs to be higher is what I think. So as a conclusion, on page 26, left-hand side, first quarter on year on year, it's quite of a negative. And second quarter onwards, year on year, it's positive. But quarter on quarter, excluding the seasonal elements, that can we expect that the ARPU is going to go up? Sorry for my complicated question. Meaning that at the end, ARPU improving, it's difficult to believe that, is how I feel. So as long as you continue the current irumo. Therefore, in what way in the fourth quarter are you going to turn it around to the positive is what I would like to ask. Well, I would like to answer from the easiest to understand part. From GigaLite, the majority of subscribers are going to irumo is your question, but that is not the case. Half is shifting over to eximo. That is the current situation, and that is increasing. And as I have you have mentioned before, the overall shifting rate going to XMO that your concern is going to be this volume. So in that sense, this part is going to largely boost up the ARPU, and it's contributing to that. And also, for the overall structure, currently, this 47, 53, 60%, what we're talking about, this is for the former rate plan. We still have about 2,500, but from the old plan, shifting over to XMO, percentage is shown here. And we have quite a large amount of stock of those subscribers. And within that, XMO, more than half will select XMO. And regarding Irumo and Ahamo, sorry, this one, by the way, the remaining part includes Ahamo as well, not just Irumo. Having said that, where we acquire new acquisitions will be seen more in Irumo and Ahamo. And as I was saying, compare to the large amount of stock, the flow coming in smaller. So by having a larger stock, it is boosting up the overall numbers. And by improving the situation quarter by quarter, the ARPU is going to increase. Is how we look at it right now. And we are implementing various measures so that it will be in that way. Understood. I'm looking forward to the ARPU for the second and third quarter. And regarding my second question, this time, the overall Docomo's profit was not the theme. However, your company, when you were listed several years ago, what are you going to do about your profit was the center of discussion, as I think. And now you're delisted, but you are making more than half of NTT's profit. So your company's commitment is something that everybody would like to have expectations towards. And this time, the communications revenue is not growing or declining. And within that, you are going to increase profit through Smart Life business. But you're saying the several hundred billion yen increase in profit, which is more than 100 billion yen, is what you have mentioned. But in more detailed numbers, can you explain in specific terms by when, how much? And NTT right now is aiming to increase the EBITDA. But in your company's case, maybe it's not an EBITDA, but rather the bottom line profit or the operating profit. So I'd like to see some sort of a signal from you, the CEO. Well, as I have been explaining, towards the increase of revenue, about 20% of a profit can be gained. Even looking at the current operating margin is what I have mentioned, and that is the minimum level, and it's a sure base. However, to begin with, from last or 2 years ago, the Smart Light business, in order to make that larger, and sorry to repeat, but we have been saying that we will conduct M&As, and we have built up a track record, though it is not done in a speedy manner overall. However, we are planning to continue this situation. So regarding the content, we cannot share anything in specific terms. However, we are continuing our current efforts. So including that, we would like to create an increase in profit. That I wanted to convey that to you as my intention. And the current situation, it's not that we're lightly looking at the profit level. However, increasing the competitive edge and in the medium and long-term perspective, growing is important. And generating a profit this fiscal year and not being able to generate profit next fiscal year in a continuous manner is something that you're not even looking forward to. So that is why, as I have been mentioning before, it's how can we solidly build up the customer base is going to be important first. And from each individual customer and subscribers, how can we bring in money or revenue? That structure is important. And creating the structure for growth is something that we need to solidify as a foundation in the next year or so, is what I think. So we are prioritizing that right now because we are in a competition. And also, overall, we are facing declining population, and our market share is continuing to decline. And just leaving it that way, we'll end up saying we can't see the future. So that is why we would like to thoroughly be able to compete. And in order to create the foundation for that, we are looking to do so in the next year or two. And this year we will put a priority on that. And of course, we are aiming to also achieve the business plans as well. Thank you very much. May I just have a little bit of a deep dive? Basically, the communications and revenue, basically you are expecting that it's not going to grow. So if that is the case, the profit is not going to grow. So it seems that the Smart Life is going to generate the increase in revenue and profit. And for Smart Life, there's existing business and M&A, and the existing business is the finance business has the potential to grow, is what I think. And through M&A, how much of a revenue and profit are you going to make? And with the existing consumer business, focusing on finance, how much of growth are you expecting? Well, regarding the margin of the existing business, largely increasing is difficult to think. But rather, as I have mentioned, the 350 billion yen, about 20% is the margin. So that means that it's simply 70 billion of increase. And from there, bringing it up to 100 billion, we need a 30 billion level of profit acquired through M&A or other means is how we are thinking about this. Thank you very much.
それでは次の質問をお受けいたします。
Next question, please. We'll go to the person in the front row. Please go ahead with your question. Tokunaga from Daiwa Securities. I would like to ask two questions, if I may. My first question is with regard to the so-called three brands. Now, you talked about March 28. I think you have shown us an outlook for the ARPU. So these three-tier plans, you believe that based on these three-tier plans, you'll be able to compete over the next 5 years. I have interpreted this as you're growing confident about being able to compete with the other players based on this three-tier plan. So what about the potential risk scenario for the ARPU? Maybe there could be intensified competitive landscape requiring to reduce your prices. So can you talk about the outlook and the outlook for competitiveness and your confidence about the three-tier plan? How confident are you? And what about the potential risks? Thank you. We believe that at this moment, we'll be able to compete based on the structure which we just introduced to you during the course of the presentation. But having said that, as far as the recent situation is concerned, there is the high level of churn for ahamo. So we need to revisit the substance and the contents of our pricing plan, which we have already carried out. So we need to stop the outflow. How can we improve the outflow from this sector? It could be that if there's continued outflow, then we might have to consider potential revisiting the time plan, the rate plan rather, in a timely fashion. That is one possibility which we need to bear in mind. But at this moment, what we view is that we want to further enrich and strengthen ahamo. Naturally, we will continue to monitor the customer trend, and if there's need for us to make some adjustments, then we'll do that in a timely fashion. Now, naturally, we want to make sure that there is no downward trend in the ARPU when we address these issues. But then the data usage trend is actually increasing overall. In the case of last fiscal year, for example, our customers' data usage has increased by 20%. Actually, 21% increase in data usage among our customers last fiscal year already. But we see 20% increase in data usage by the August of this fiscal year as well. So I think in principle, data usage is going to be increasing. And we believe that the overall pricing will see an upside trend. But as you have pointed out in your question, if there's a possibility of pricing competition, then the scenario could be undermined. But at this moment, as far as we're concerned, we are not able to make such forecast at this moment. So that is how we see the current situation. If I could ask, so among the KPI that you shared with us, what is the one KPI you want to really safeguard? so it's not subscriptions. So in the case of mobile communication service revenue, is that one of the most important KPI for you to protect and safeguard? Is that the case? Well, let me put it this way. Of course, if we can expand revenue as a result of increases of subscription, that would be lovely. Of course, but we're also after ARPU, so we were after our revenue naturally. But as you have pointed out, customer acquisition is going to be a very significant point for us. That is a very important point for us. We're talking about the potential downturn, but then as far as the overall revenue is concerned, we want to naturally see an increase, continue with the upward trend. And for fiscal 2025, we want to make sure that market share could also be reversed. So we're making efforts so that we'll be able to make a reversal of the market share in fiscal 2025. So we want to expand our market share and also increase ARPU against the structure that we alluded to earlier. And I think this will show a general overall upside. Okay, second question. I'll just ask about your port-in. Page 15, you talked about in August, you saw 50% port-in increase. And naturally, maybe this is a very unique factor, but what did you do which led to the port-in increase in August? Maybe improve the skills of the staff? How were you able to increase port-in the month of August by such a large number? I know that this was a challenge for you in the past. Yes, as you pointed out, yes, we were able to have very skillful sales staffs where we carried out reinforcement. So yes, at stores where sales staffs were reinforced, this did have an outcome, especially among the electronic shops. Of course, we'll be making efforts to reinforce the sales staffs in existing Docomo shops as well. But our core target, the young people, for those young people, they go to electronic shops, electronic retailers to buy goods. So it's important that we improve the performance among the staff who are working at the electronic shops and retailers. So it's important that we also increase and assign skillful sales staffs in these very important shops. Now, of course, it is important that we maintain competitive pricing plans for the handsets as well. And we've already taken those policies to begin with. So based on those activities, as I mentioned earlier, it is important that we take these various measures to improve our performance. And I think as a result of this, we were able to improve 50%. We were able to increase port-ins by 50% in the month of August. We want to actually expand that to other shops, so that we'll be able to improve the overall performance. Okay. When customers do this, are they switching to Eximo? Yes, I think you're talking about new customers port-ins, right? So Ahamo, Irimo are the very largest contributors in these subscriber acquisitions. Thank you.
次のご質問。
We'd like to take the next question. The left end row. My name is Susaka from Morgan Stanley. I have a question from the business management perspective. I may sound a bit severe, and I've been following your company for a long time. And the last management that succeeded was CEO Mr. Tachikawa. But since then, as a business management, it's a situation that they have not succeeded in managing the company. And in a way, compared to those days, marketing share is declining and created this company, NTT Docomo. And Mr. Maeda, you have been with the company for over 20 years, so you have seen all of the CEOs up to now. So up to now, what was done wrong and come about to this situation? And as the president and CEO, what kind of change would you like to bring about NTT Docomo and create this image of 2027? Because you have the negative legacy from the past, and how did it become this way? I've seen many medium-term management strategies, but you have never achieved it once. That is the type of company you are. So, and from that perspective, how should we interpret these numbers, and with what kind of change in management will enable you to achieve these numbers is what I would like to know. During the times of Mr. Tachikawa, I just joined this company, and I was focusing iMode, and the company was focusing on iMode to increase that business. And at that time, myself and including my colleagues, each one of us having the entrepreneur mindset and was quite proactive of creating the business. And that was the motivation. It's not limited to the iMode relevant people. That's for the sales side and also the network side as well as the R&D side. So, in a sense, the people who are working, including the management like us, whether are they always being taking the proactive, aggressive manner. But we became large at the top share, the scale became large, and during that we have to come up with a certain level of a profit, so stop taking risks. That is what happened, is what I think. And I myself, as I have explained at the start, in various areas, I always talk about the technology ability and the human capability. And creating this surely is my stance. Creating the human capability is what we need to do, and leading that or supporting that as a management is what we need to do, or else it may be difficult to go back to the growth trajectory. And I believe that is my job and responsibility to do so. So I would like to achieve the plan that everybody can have expectation towards. Thank you. And my second question is related to the management, or a question regarding the overall Docomo's structure. It's quite cynical. Within NTT Group, you are conducting consumer business, and within NTT Group, NTT Docomo has been achieving the increase of a scale in quite a unique way within the group. And I believe this is understood by all of the management NTT Group. NTT Docomo has the most silo structure and is the least opened organization. And I have been had exchanges with various Docomo people, and that's the part that I strongly feel. And probably that is due to the past president CEOs were managing the business, not wanting to make any mistakes. And because of that, the whole organization become quite rigid, is my understanding. And so I wonder if there are any measures to make this rigid organization into a more flexible one, or it has been accumulated for so long that is it going to be changed, difficult to radically change? So if there are areas to change that you can, well, or maybe my opinion is not correct. So whether that type of a change is necessary or not, including that, can you answer? Thank you for your question. I believe that there are many areas that are in silos, so I would like to improve that situation. And I did mention about the human capabilities before, but we need to improve. So we have to do. It's very important that everybody is looking at the same direction. And this is something that I have been mentioning since I have assumed this position, is to start from the customer, meaning that the customer voices that we receive, not just the division who is responding to that, but rather the whole company needs to recognize that and improve that and work together to do so, is what is important. And we can be customers as well. So we need to place ourselves in the customer's shoes and improve the situation as your own matter. And there are various points that's been pointed out regarding our plan, and we are putting our efforts. In the past, the network division, how can they correctly achieve things is what they were doing. And then Smart Life business, the people who are working on developing or cultivating merchants, they are focusing on that. And as a result of these efforts, the merchants at the merchants store to try to use a payment, then the communications quality was bad, so cannot use that. So who is going to respond to such a situation? That becomes an air pocket without no responses, and that is the worst situation. And that is something that we need to take care of right now, is what I think. So which store is not good in what way, including the network side, we are surveying the overall situation, and we already have a task force to improve the situation in a comprehensive manner. And how much can we have such situations is the key. And there's always the customer voice, and we need to look at that in an overall perspective. And the organization as overall needs to understand what is said, and we are making that improvement to do so. And we need to have the overall unified direction of how we're going to respond to these customer voices. And through that, what you have pointed out, that it's a silo organization and it's quite rigid. By these efforts, we would like to overcome this situation. Thank you.
ご質問、それでは、
Next question, please. Please go ahead with your question. My name is Hori from Mizuho Securities. Thank you so much. I would like to ask two questions as well. The first question is a very general question. You talk about Smart Life, which is a growth element in your growth strategy. Although slight differences, I think they're curious, roughly, the similar services when it comes to your Smart Life business. And they're trying to add financial services and peripheral services on top of their core customer base. You took the convenience store. I think only one company is having alliance, but I think the overall direction is probably the same among the three major players when it comes to this type of business. So that being the case, even if you want to enrich your portfolio, will this translate into a market where you have one single victor if they simply enrich their menu? Or as you pointed out, Mr. Maeda, because of the population decline, you cannot be overly positive about the outlook of this business. So that being the case, are you going to go on to clinch and lock in your loyal customers? I suppose it's a given. So in other words, take a defensive strategy. I was wondering which strategy you're following. Are you seeking victory based on such a type of strategy? So are you seeking victory, or are you simply want to defend your current customer base? So can you talk about the direction you see, and also how you see the potential growth going forward? Well, actually, I think it's not just one. I think it's not just one single strategy. In actuality, what is happening on the ground? Let me share that with you. As I mentioned earlier, when it comes to payment services, for example, with regard to the D card, yes, we've launched this at a quite early phase, and this has been well received because it is very convenient. So we have a very strong customer base for our D card program. Then what about barcode payment? As you're aware, PayPay is taking a very large share at this moment. When it comes to finance and payment, we see the market situation which has become visible, but it's not static. So that being the case, how can we address such a market? How to become more aggressive in such a marketplace? And by doing and through the more aggressive strategy, we will be able to optimize our efforts. And various players are, of course, make various efforts to brush up their capacity. At the risk of repeating myself, credit card is going to be the core of our finance business. So how can we expand our business based on this core business? So that's why we're pursuing Poikatsu program, for example. So through that, through those efforts, we hope that we'll be able to attract more customers. Also, I touched upon the entertainment business as well. In the upstream entertainment sector, we are very, very much involved. Why upstream? Because we're still on the way. This is still a work in progress, but hopefully we'll be able to get fans who will support Docomo. So we'll be able to have such connections. And so inclusive of the Docomo shops, we are now addressing these markets. Yes, this is one area where we can acquire customers. So yes, there is the population decline. We want to make sure that we safeguard our market share, and on top, and also add on larger market shares through various efforts that I just alluded to. Thank you. My second question is this. I apologize, it's a detail. You talked about the port-in earlier. We take a look at the Irumo pricing plan in details. UQ, MI Mobile, they have added 10-minute voice option. So that's the differentiation. So Rakuten is differentiating based on the pricing element, and little by little, Rakuten subscription momentum is increasing. They're gaining momentum now. So, can you really compete purely on the pricing element right now? Is that your thought, or do you believe that you need to add something else? Maybe, I think the benefit. First, I believe the benefit of your performance is due to the review of your handset price. Are you going to revisit those pricing plans for your handsets going forward? Or are you going to flexibly adjust your pricing plans from time to time? Is that enough for you to compete? I guess that's my question. Thank you. Well, with regard to the review of handset, that has led to the performance improvement. That is true, yes. So I think we do more than the competition. And that being the case, I think we'll be able to continue with this policy going forward. The base will remain, and I think you can expect greater customer acquisitions by reviewing pricing plans. But as far as the specifics of the pricing plans are concerned, there are elements that we're not competitive against our competition. Naturally, we have to hear the voice of our customers, and we have to be mindful of the timing. But it's important that we continue to maintain our competitiveness and make sure that we carry out review of pricing as required from time to time. Hopefully, there'll be other opportunities for to expand our pricing plans at a separate date. Thank you.
それで
At this point, we would like to receive questions from those of you participating online. Okasan Securities, Okumura-san, Mr. Okumura, please go ahead by unmuting. Thank you very much. I am Okumura from Okasan Securities. Can you hear me all right? Sorry to ask from online. I have two questions. The first is related to something that has been mentioned, the growth area, which is Docomo's finance business. The other carriers having securities, credit, and bank, they have unified the brand. And they are rolling out the business, having a intermediate holding company. But in your case, your finance business kind of cross divisions. But moving forward, do you have any thoughts of actually unifying the brands in the future? And before in the Q&A, you're saying that it's important to have an aggressive management style. However, regarding this finance business, what kind of expectations should we have in terms of aggressive management of the business is what I would like to ask about. Thank you. Well, last fiscal year, the securities company or the loan company just entered our group. Therefore, it's not the situation right now that we can immediately unify the brands. However, in order to generate synergy from them, by utilizing our customer base, they want to increase their business. So the way of thinking is to make it into a brand that our customer base, our customers is easy to understand. The other customers, not looking from the existing customers, but rather from the perspective of the new acquired customers. So regarding what we're going to do about the brand is something we would like to thoroughly review moving forward. And how the governance should be regarding this point, of course, the speciality or the characteristics of the finance business, when we consider this, the organization structure that can enhance the specialty or the talent structure that will be able to handle that is something that we need to create. And through that process, depending on the situation, we may have to review of splitting or separating the companies. But of course, nothing has been decided. Therefore, this point as well, we would like to consider it and hoping that there will be an opportunity to share something later onwards with all of you. Thank you. And the second question is regarding the mobile telecommunications revenue. Sorry that I'm repeating my question. And this part, next fiscal year, you've mentioned that this mobile communication service revenue is going to decline, and you raised the FOMA service termination as one of the reasons. And if that is assumption, you're saying that you're going to turn around the ARPU. So the positive effect and the negative effect, and what strength or what scale are they going to balance out? And then from next fiscal year, you're going to turn a positive. So what is going to lead that? What are the elements to do so? So if you can give us a clue of how that's going to work out, I will appreciate it. Okay, well, from the perspective of ARPU is, as I've mentioned, next fiscal year will turn around. Well, this fiscal year is going to bottom out. So it is going to turn around next fiscal year. And also, if we look at FY 2025, from the perspective of the population decline, next year, in terms of declining, we looked at about 100,000. So it's going to decline by that size. And regarding ARPU, what slightly exists is that Eximo Poikatsu, if that becomes large, and within it, as you know, there is the revenue included that we return as points to the users. So that part is going to slightly go negative. I think if I hope this suffices your question. The FOMA's termination, in a way, forced termination. Can you comment on that? Regarding the termination of FOMA from our side, FY25, that will happen mid FY25. So it's going to have the impact, more impact in FY26. That is the impression we are having. Okay, understood. Thank you. Sorry, I took a deep dive. Thank you very much.
奥村様ありがとうございます。
Thank you, Mr. Okumura. Next question will be this last question. We are about to conclude the session, so this will be the final question of the session. If you have any questions, please raise your hand. Please go ahead.
Marathon Asset の河野
Kono from Baba Asset. Having heard your comments so far, I think you focus primarily on the growth strategy, especially for top line. You have shown the numerical target. You've given us a rough image of the financial targets that you're following. What about post-2027? What are going to be your targets and goals after 2027? It could be conceptual, but I would appreciate some insight. And also with regard to revenue, not just top line, which relates to revenue, but what about how you see the strategy to grow your profits? And also, in order to solidify your profit growth, what type of human resources do you intend to prepare? Furthermore, what are some of the elements that are required for you to reach those targets at the end of the day? Can you give us some specific thoughts as to how you intend to achieve these goals? I know that this is a very rough question, a very broad question, but I appreciate your response. Thank you. Well, thank you so much for your question. So you talked about the image of the growth after 2027. As I mentioned, 2027. We're still in the work in progress as far as the growth is concerned. I think all the pieces will come together in 6 or 7 years. And likewise, when it comes to financial business, it should enjoy a similar level of growth after 2027 as well. So I think that's the basic concept. But when it comes to finance business, which we have been addressing so far, and also entertainment marketing and solutions business, what about business outside these businesses? It's important that we focus on those other sectors as well. For example, healthcare, medical services. We are promoting that at this moment. It's important that we focus on this area as well, and also energy sector business as well. In any event, it is important that we support the lifestyle of each individual customers. That is very important for us. And that is the domain which we want to expand as much as possible. So it's important that we try to expand that particular side of the business, that side of the business, and also overseas business. We've just begun in earnest. I think we need to focus on this as a potential growth area as well. So inclusive of creating new growth domains, it's important that we work with various partners we need to work with even large number of partners. So inclusive of potential acquisitions, we should have a team structure which is technically equipped to address these new developments as well. So that's one topic which we are pursuing as a mobile carrier. So it's important that we also enrich our human capital. Thank you.
よろしいでしょうか。
Does that suffice your question? Thank you very much. It is now time to conclude this session, so we would like to conclude now. Thank you very much, President CEO, Mr. Maeda. Thank you very much.